Alright, welcome back to another Let's Play. We are continuing off of the last turn that we did. Pretty impressive German breakthrough, and I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. We're going to respond with the Soviet production. So I don't even think I actually even finished the log file, so we're going to end the log file. We're going to start a new one. This one's going to be July production, I think. Just gonna do production. We'll call it 00 for production. Yes. Okay. And so now, what I hope to show in this turn is the Soviet response. So last turn was really the main German show. We saw the German breakthrough. We saw a big German blitz. Lots of German air power, lots of concentrated German armor. We saw the Soviet formations do their best to stop the Germans, and they actually did have a few local successes, but strategically the Soviets have been beaten back. So now I want to show you all how can the Soviet Union respond, because the Soviet army is the one with the strategic advantage, really. And so right now we have to actually let me show you how the production is really done in this game. And so I'm going to open up this production chart here. Basically shows you West Front and East Front production. You can also put the Mediterranean Front production on the Western Front. You can see that depending on the front and depending on the turn, there are certain cases where the weather will vary. And so we have clear weather, we have mud, and then these areas are a 50-50 dice roll of either clear or mud. And then the Eastern Front is similar, except you also have included there winter as well. So you got 3 weather effects on the Eastern Front. Since we're doing the summer 1941 campaign, we started on June 22nd. And now we're going to be in the month of July. And so I probably should put some sort of marker there to indicate that that's the actual active turn, right? So I think what I'll do is I'll put a weather marker there. If I can find it. There's so many markers in this game. Here it is. I'm going to put the weather marker there. That's just going to indicate which turn it is. I think there's also another way to indicate the month in the game. Turn counter, dock and toolbar. Maybe that's what it is. Let's see here. Oh yeah, that's what it is. So then I can click this a bunch of times and update it all the way to October 1941, or July 1941 rather. So I'll go ahead and do that. Boom. July 1941. And that's where we are right now. And then, of course, it's good to be familiar with the productions of each nation, but if you're not familiar, you can always pull up this table again, and then you can look at the production point sources. Gives you a whole list of all the production points for each nation. So for the Axis, I'm going to have to count all the areas that are under German occupation, add them all up, and then I'm actually going to look at the actual year and look at this basic production table, and I would actually subtract 30 production points for Germany in summer 1941. Why that's the case, I'm not really sure. But presumably the German production didn't reach its full potential until 1944, according to this graph that we have here. So the German production, according to the developers, linearly increased, year by year until it reached its peak in summer 1944, which is interesting. I don't know if this is actually accurate to historical data. We're going to need to do some data science to find that out at some point. But you can also see here for the Allied, they also started in the negative. They gradually increased to 0 in summer 41, and then after that, they keep growing. And this is clearly the strength of the United States, I'm pretty sure, that we're seeing here. So that by summer 1944, the Allied production increased 60-fold, which has to be the presence of the United States. And then here for the Soviet Union, it looks like they really reached their peak in summer 1942. I guess they gained a little bit after that, but the production doesn't change that much, according to these stats. But also we got to keep in mind that it also matters who's controlling the territory. And so, the production will shift depending on who controls certain sectors of the Eastern Front or of the whole war in general. So that's something to think about. But we can, I pretty much already am familiar with the production of most of the nations. And so we'll start with the Soviet production. And I'm just going to use this marker here. I think there actually is a production marker. Soviet production. I'm not sure. I think the easiest way is just to scroll up and down really fast. Maybe it's not there. Maybe that is the marker I'm going to have to use. I'm not really seeing. I could have sworn there was a marker that. I guess it's just axis control. Yeah. So this is German production. I'm pretty sure there is a marker for production. Oh yeah, it's over here for some reason. I see. All right, so we'll start with the Axis production. They're at 54 on the Eastern Front. So 50 on the 10, 4 on the 1. And then I also got to look for the Soviet production. Soviet production is pretty strong. They're at a total of 68 production altogether. So they actually have more production than the Germans do. And their units are more cost effective, as you'll see in a moment. And then the Allied production we'll do on the Western Front, I believe they're actually at 7 right now. Only at 7 per turn. But they also have the Mediterranean Front production, which is at 25 right now. I'm just gonna label these units, and I'm gonna call them MF. For Mediterranean Front production, like that. And I can double check just to be sure of that. Just go back to the production table, or the setup, go to 1941 setup, go to Allied here, it says 25 Mediterranean, yep, 25 for the Axis as well. So both sides have a lot of production diverted to the Mediterranean Front. Both at 25. Mediterranean Front, and Mediterranean Front. There we go. Boom. And then the Germans also have some production on the Western Front. I believe their production is at 17, which is kind of odd. So yeah, that's it for the Western Front. We can also add another weather marker there as well. Way down here, and put this in here in July. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So we'll start with the Soviet production, which is at 68. And then we just got to make sure that there's no production sites that have been lost to the Axis, and none so far. Even Riga, even though Riga is near, there are Axis units near Riga, technically, it's still in rail supply. This rail line is still Soviet controlled. That's way up here. So we could even put a new unit in Riga, and that's actually what we're gonna do. So the Soviet production right now is 68, and then I'm gonna spend a little bit on some HQs, but I'm gonna try to keep that to a minimum. So I'm gonna increase the Western HQ, the Stavka HQ. These are by far two most important HQs, and then I think here in the south, I may want to increase at least one of these HQs. If not both, at least one of them. I would want to have both at full strength, frankly, but it's just hard to figure out what's the best setup here for the Soviets. We'll do one more. So that leaves us with 38 production left for the Soviets. And I need those production, as you'll see in a moment. I feel like I do. But I'm going to go to the Soviet reserve, and I'm going to deploy the strategic reserve, because we've got some nice, juicy Soviet armies that I want to put into action. And for starters, I think, well, going to put a Soviet, I'm going to try to be as historical as I can. I'm going to put the 22nd Soviet Army here at Vitebsk. It's just a strong Soviet army. I think as a reserve at Smolensk, we're going to put the 24th. The 19th could also be at somewhere back there, actually. I'm going to leave the 16th at Mogilev. And then the 19th, I know, I'm actually going to put the 19th. I'm going to send it up to Leningrad. And we're going to just make sure Leningrad is heavily fortified. Now I'm not going to worry about Leningrad anymore. And the best way to do that is just put a full strength unit at Leningrad as soon as possible. So if the Finnish attack or the Germans attack, they're in for a treat. This has, Leningrad's a fortress, so it has fortress supplies. It means that even if it's cut off, the unit here won't actually be neutralized until it's actually attacked and destroyed. So that's the advantage the Soviets have of having a fortress, is that you don't have to supply it. So any unit that you leave there can stay there indefinitely for the entire game, and that's what we intend to do here with the 19th Army, basically. So that's that. Now, that's all we have as far as reinforcements. Even though it was a nice, handsome group of units, we don't have anything more, and I think that's the underlying problem I have with the Soviets. Is that there's just not enough units. So, anyways, for example, I want a unit at Kyiv, and I don't have anything right now. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to increase all of the rearguard Soviet units. All these rearguard units that are level 1 right now, I'm actually going to increase them to level 2. And I'm going to try to get as many as I can, send them to the front. I'm not going to actually have these units sit as cadre for the entire game. No, I need these units mobilized to the front line ASAP. And so this is my priority right now. So I'm going to increase these guys. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 by 2, because each of these, if you look at the Soviet production, the Soviet costs are very low. They're like half the German costs. You'll see that the Soviet infantry is at 2 production points, which is incredible. So that means that we've just spent 8 cadre, or 8 combat points on the Soviet infantry. That's the equivalent of 16 production points. And I said we had 38 left, so now we're down to 22. So we only have 22 production left for the Soviets. And I think the remainder should probably be spent on building up whatever units that we lost. And try to build up some of these units here at the front line too. Give them some reinforcements. So for example, I have the Soviet cavalry are very useful. I should probably have all those always built up, always operational. And then I don't intend to build up any more Soviet armor. But I could build up a few more cadre units. I don't know if I want to reinforce Riga. Is it worth my time to leave a Soviet Union at Riga or do in Tallinn? Do I try to leave some Soviet units there? Will it slow down the Germans? I don't know. It's hard to say. It is very hard to say. I think I'm going to put a cavalry unit in Tallinn. I can. I think that's a good place to put it. It may not be. I'm not sure. Maybe I could use it to do a nice flank attack. We'll see. It's a very mobile unit. And then, so that's that. So that's already costing me 6 production points. I think I'm going to build another cavalry unit. I'm not sure where. Maybe here in Krivoy Rog. Okay. So then that's going to leave me with only 10 production points left. And then I can spend those 10 very easily rebuilding some lost units here at Kyiv. Those are 4 apiece. So I'm left with 2 more production points. And frankly, I kind of want 6 more to build up these frontline units here. So maybe I won't build up this cavalry. And then I'll build up this cavalry to a level 2. And then I'll build this mech unit to a level 3. Try to beefing up our front lines as best as possible. Each of these costs 3 apiece. And that's it. I mean, it's a nice... I'm impressed by the Soviet reinforcements, but I cannot say that they are really enough to completely stop the German offensive. They don't seem to be enough. I'm actually going to build up this armored unit here. Might as well see what it can do against the Germans. Soviet armor is in a bad position, if you ask me. It's under strength, but it may have some lucky dice rolls, and we might be able to do some damage on the Soviets, or rather on the Germans. And then we don't have any more in the way of HQs here in the north. So our HQ situation is very weak, even here in the north. So this Baltic HQ, I think, should be able to get away in one piece. That's the goal. And the good news, though, is that we have a huge cadre of units that we can move up. And I want to move up as many as I can. And just start placing them wherever I need them. I think I need at least to have a few more Soviet armies. If I'm going to do the historical setup, just set up a second strategic echelon here to defend Moscow. And that's really where I want to concentrate my reserves, is all around Moscow. Forget about anywhere else, just Moscow. So that's going to conclude the Soviet production. We could move over to the British production now. And then we will do the production in North Africa. Now we have to do actual dice rolls, because of the basically the naval interdiction supply rules. Basically, we have to worry about like the enemy U-boats and anti-shipping operations, and so we just roll a bunch of dice, and then whatever that number is, if it's as long as it's lower than the total maximum amount of production, each die roll represents 5 production points basically. We just add this up, and then that's the production we get. So if I add this up here, I get that's 8, 9 plus 5 is 13. So we get 13 production points for the Mediterranean front right now for the British. And that's not a whole lot. We can build up, the production costs are much higher. And I think I'm actually going to pass for the British. And you can do that. You can pass on your production. So I'll grab this British piece here, I'll clone it, and then I will put it for August. And then I'm just going to write down that the British are going to get 13 production for next turn. And they're just saving up their production. And then I'm also going to do the same thing for the British as far as their production on the Western Front. Since they only have 7, I'm actually going to bypass their production. I'm actually going to move it all the way to October. And in the month of October, they can get 28 production. July, August, September, October, yeah. They get 28 production in October. And it's just a more whole number. It's easier to work with. And so that's it for the British. Not much there for the British production. I can switch over to now the German side, and now I can do the Axis production. And so pretty much doing a lot of similar things here on the Western Front, for example. I'm going to pass on the German production. Oops, I want to clone this. And we're going to put this for August. Oh, wrong label. It was this one. I'm going to put this here for August, and Germans on the next turn will get 17 production. This actually should say 21. Yeah, so they get 17 production from the last turn. But then we don't spend any production, basically. And then as far as the Western Front goes, we can calculate our production here, or the Mediterranean Front rather, we get much better rolls. We get 22 for the Axis. And so with 22, I mean, that's enough to actually build up an HQ, as well as build up our Panzer Corps, which costs 12 production points. And then the HQs cost 10 if they're near a major supply base like Benghazi. So, yeah, we've been able to build up the Panzer Corps, which is great, but you can see all the Italian units are very under strength. That's not good. I don't know, maybe I should spend my money on the Italian units instead, in case the British do anything sneaky. Then we can just reduce the African Corps unit by 1. Maybe I do that. Like that. There's better defense overall. We'll see if that's any good. We're gonna stick with that setup. And then I can also do the Eastern Front production. That we are gonna spend. We get 54 this turn. And so we're going to spend most of it on HQs. Each HQ costs 10 production points. So there's 1 for Army Group Center, 1 for OKH, 1 for Army Group South, that's 3, and 1 for Army Group A. That's a total of 4 for 40. We have 54 production altogether, so we're left with 14. And that 14, I can spend 6 here on this mech unit. That leaves me with 8. And I think the 8 should probably be spent on these 2 infantry that were reduced. Yeah. So already it's beginning to show that, you know, most of the German units are going to be short on production. So we're going to increase these 2 by 2. Yep. Just basically replace those losses. And then that's it for the German production, not much more. And then as far as the Western Front, we're going to still have to wait another month before we can build up more units. So that's a bummer. And so that concludes the German production as well. And then the question that I have right now is, do we want to get Finland in the war? If we want to get Finland in the war, I think this is a good month to do so. So we've just finished the production phase. Let me show you. Player aid. Just finished the production phase. And then we're now going to do the diplomacy phase. In diplomacy phase, you basically get to roll for any diplomatic events. It's basically a probability of political events, but you can go here and there's some special ones for the Axis, special one for the Allies. Right now, I don't think the Allies have really any good special events that they can do. There just really isn't anything they can roll for right now. Maybe if they do make a move against Norway, they might be able to do something. But, you know, most of them have already been rolled for, really. So we can look at the Axis diplomacy, and there's 2 that the Axis can do, actually. They could do a limited war with Finland, which basically they can roll a 1 or 5. And the Soviets have joined the Allies. And basically, we can deploy the Finnish army, and the Finnish army will help the Axis invade the Soviet Union. Or I could also do another one, which is to get Hungary to join the war, which I think is up here. Here it is, HX. And once the Soviets are belligerent, Hungary will automatically join the Axis. And you know, that's another option. I mean, we don't really gain much. It's not like the Hungarian unit is even unlocked. It's still going to be restricted to Hungary. And I mean, maybe we can use it to maybe pin down one Soviet unit right here. That might be the only advantage, really. But I don't think we really have to worry about that Soviet unit there. So I'm thinking we get Finland in the war. And as soon as Finland is in the war, we can then actually start deploying Army Group Dietl. And the idea is we can get Army Group Dietl deployed to I'm just thinking we can get this unit deployed to So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I kind of want to wait for Finland. Kind of want to wait for this HQ to be easily deployed. Or this German army group in Norway, and I'm thinking about how to deploy it. But right now, I have to get it to Petsamo first. The problem is that you've got these long railroad routes. These routes are actually 5 hexes in length. You can read this up in the there is rules on that, but I think it's they just designate these hexes. They call them areas instead of hexes. I mean, technically they're all areas if you ask me, but you're basically talking about areas. And see if I can find them. So we're talking about victory. I think here it is. Map edge areas. Yeah. And they talk about the railroad routes, the road routes. You've got these like super long. You got short routes, and then you've got long routes, which are 5 hexes long. And that's where the thicker lines are represented here. So the movement here is different. These are like double moves, each and every one of them. You need to do a double march, and that costs 2 supreme moves. So I know that I can move this unit once Army Group OKWHQ is at full strength. But I decided to forego a whole turn because I wanted to be efficient with my production. So because of that, this whole thing needs to be delayed by a whole month. So I'm thinking I probably just want to wait until Finland. I probably just want to wait until this unit is ready to be deployed before I get Finland in the war. And the reason why I want to wait is because I don't want to have Finland mobilized for war and then have Petsamo be unprotected, which is silly. Like, I want to make sure I have units there in Petsamo to defend it at the very least. It's an industrial site, a mining site, but the best units for Petsamo are going to be this Army Group Norway. And right now, I mean, I guess in theory I could deploy. The German unit. I could deploy Dietl HQ, Army Group Norway. Get this 36th Corps, have it move to Petsamo. And then have Army Group Norway HQ go to Oulu. And then we still need to move up 2 more units on the next turn. So I think it's just better if I just wait. Yeah, I think it's just better if I wait 1 more turn. So yeah, we're gonna leave it at that. But at any rate, as far as these units here, I think we're good for the German units. And we are now finished up with German production. We also did North Africa too. And so now let's start the turn. I'm going to end this file, and then I'm going to start a new file. Call this just the month of July 1941. So this is going to be the main month now, and now we can really start the offensive. And so let's go ahead and do that. I got to figure out what my target is. And right now, my goal is just to expand. I don't really care where I'm headed. Because frankly, I mean, all the territories seem fair game if you ask me. Before I do that though, I guess I meant to forego the Finnish diplomatic event, but I guess I will do Hungarian diplomatic event, and I forgot to do that. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. But Hungary is gonna enter the war. I don't have to do any dice roll; it happens automatically. I can use a marker and actually indicate it. I don't know if sometimes not all the markers are there. Oh, here it is. Hungary cooperates. No, I'm looking for HX, which is Hungary joins the Axis. It's HX, not the other one. It might not be here. And if it's not here, it's no problem. Yeah, it's no problem. Yeah, I don't see it. I see Finland. So yeah. But anyways, the way you do it is you just it's important to recognize that the peacetime production is 1/4 their full-time production. So that means that Hungary's production per month was only 1 production point per month. And then this was their 1939 setup, September 1939. So you just look at the year right now. We are now in July 1941. So that's been how many months? That's been at least 12 months, almost 24 months, but it's not September 1941. It's not August. So I think it was 18. I believe it was 18 months altogether. If I did my math correctly there. Or sorry, it would have been 22 months altogether. So then that's 22 production points, really, since September 1939. And so then you just add those 22 production points to these Hungarian units, and each of these infantry costs 4 production points apiece. So I can go 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, voila, and then I have myself these units of full strength. In fact, I'm actually going to reduce 1 and increase this first army by 1. There you go. And then we're going to deploy. Oops, I just realized that right there I also have the allied versions of these Axis units. We don't need those. These are not needed. But if the Hungarians ever switch sides, then I can use those. And so we're going to deploy the Hungarians like so. I think it's a pretty good setup. But the idea is that I want to pin down this Soviet unit over here. That's the first thing I want to do. And then I also want to make sure that my Hungarian units are in position for whenever the Soviets decide to launch a counteroffensive back to Hungary. I just want to make sure that these 2 units are in the terrain areas that don't have any rail lines, because those are the hardest areas to get to. And so if I have an operational move right now, then might as well do that. So there we go. Now we can start the command phase for the Axis. So that was the diplomacy phase. Now we can do the command phase. And I'm going to activate Army Group South HQ. I think I was also going to activate Army Group A HQ as well. And then we're going to deploy it over here. And I guess we're going to just start inching our way towards Odessa, really. Still a mighty target. This first Hungarian army can go after that Soviet group. The 3rd Hungarian army, I will deploy forward, again in that position. They're in a good spot. And then the 2nd Hungarian army, I can unlock whenever I take Sevastopol. And then this Army Group A, we can use it to pretty much attack at least this one Soviet position. I'm thinking of trying to do a river assault. Might as well do something like that. I think that seems to be a pretty reasonable attack. Of course, this German corps is attacking this hex all by itself, but we'll see if it's any good. I mean, it may not be a good attack at all. We'll see if it's any good, though. That's kind of my plan of action, though. Army Group A, I feel like, could use more infantry right now. And we just don't have any. So that's a bit of an inconvenience, if you ask me. I may change this. Yeah, I'm not sure what to do with that. But we're gonna just stick to that attack plan for now. The next big attack plan I think to have is to advance with Army Group South. I'm just trying to get as many troops as I can marching eastward. And unfortunately, most of my units are out of range. The mech units are not. They're pretty fast. But most of my other units are just not in range. So I don't know what the game plan is with Army Group South. I don't know if I want to blitz. If I want to try to blitz and try to break through Soviet lines, it's one option. Or do I want to, yeah, like, well, what's my plan here? And I think I do want to try some sort of blitz with Army Group South. Or maybe not. Maybe I want to save a blitz for a later turn. It's hard to say. For example, I can get these mech column units to attack there. And then I'll be able to get that infantry to move up. I could even move up this 2nd Hungarian unit up here now. Yeah, just move it up by 1 hex. Move up that German units, move up the German infantry. I still have 2 more German corps that I can move up, but they were kind of under strength. So I was thinking maybe I can attack with 1 panzer group and 1 infantry corps there. And then I can send another mech group over here. Try to break through across these 2 areas. It might work, it might not. We'll see. We'll see. These battles are going to be pretty decisive in that sense. I can even move up a few more units this way too. For example, I have another German corps that I can move up. I can even move up some of these German infantry corps that are in the rear. Kind of want to do that. I don't really need them to be in the marshes like that anymore. It's kind of an inconvenience, really. And then we're also going to make a move here in the north. And I'm not really sure what the game plan is for the north. I think I may want to wait until give it another turn or so, perhaps, before I make a move in the north. I'm thinking I can probably just make some moves now. But it looks like my main focus is to make some sort of attack in the south. I'm going to focus my attacks in the south. I don't think we're going to make any moves in the north. I'm going to activate OKH. And I don't know, maybe I want to wait a little longer for these formations here to be liquidated. Right? Like, let the encirclements do what they do. Before I make an offensive action with these formations. Again, it's hard to say. But I can activate OKH, provide more air support for Army Group South. I can certainly do that. I think I'm going to declare this guy as a blitz. And then we got a lot of units on the move, which is good to see. And then I can also just move some more units. I kind of want to wait. Yeah, I want to wait for these units to be built up before I deploy them. So I don't want to actually deploy those. But OKH, I mean, I can move some units here in the north. It's probably the best thing for me to do. So I can move up, for example, this 26th Corps to Riga. Move it up a bit. I can move up this 38th Corps further north as well. I think it'll be, frankly, yeah, they already have an army up there. That's the problem. So I guess we'll move it up there. So that's 2 movements. The third move will actually have this guy move up to Riga itself. And now that we control Riga, we've actually cut off this port that's further north. So this unit here will be out of supplies. So that's already 3 moves. And then I have 3 more strategic moves I can do. I can move another one, this 5th Army, here, or 5th Corps rather, and just block off any approaches from the swamps. And then I am left with 2 more moves. I think the best options would be to actually attack Minsk and maybe move another corps that way. That's 1, 2. Hold on, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. I guess this corps I'm actually going to cancel. I don't have to advance to the north just yet. So he can stay put. So I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll move 2 units into Minsk, not 3. And then this corps here, I'm going to leave... maybe I can actually move him further up. Try to occupy Bobruisk. Yeah, let's do that. Let's be a little bit aggressive. So we're going to move this guy here. And then we're going to move up this 43rd Corps into Minsk. Like so. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 5, 6. So yeah, that's going to be all my rail moves. I probably should indicate those. Some of them were moved by the HQ. And actually, oddly enough, if I actually decide to deploy, if I deploy my HQ over here, I actually get to move a few more units. I sure do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. So I got one more strategic move available now. One more. And the real question is where do I want to move it? I think, let's move this corps up here. And then we're going to attack there. Nice. All right, so we're doing some advances after all, which I like to see. And now for airstrikes. We're doing an airstrike here. We're doing another airstrike there. One of them is coming from OKH. We've got an airstrike here. We're trying a river crossing here in the south. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't think it's even worth it, really. I don't know why I actually don't. I should probably try to try to attack Vinica. I'm actually going to cancel my attack. Last minute adjustment. We're going to go for Vinica. Might as well. I feel like that's a better target. And then we're just trying to make sure that our flank is safe, and it should be. And we can move up reinforcements as needed. Okay, that seemed much better. So we're launching a nice triple airstrike. Okay, this technically is double. But 3 airstrikes all across the front. We'll see if it works. But I'm pretty excited. So yeah, we'll start with the southern battles. Let's start with here. Battle for Kishinev. Just one single German corps all by itself attacking against the Soviet 9th Army. Soviet 9th Army scores a hit. Germans do not. Thankfully, these Germans still have enough defense there. Battle for Vinica is next against the 12th Soviet Army. Airstrike totally misses. And then I should probably indicate this area is a river assault. Yep. This was a river assault. And so river assaults can get repulsed on die roll of 1s or 2s. You can see there that there's 2 1s there. And you can look at the tables, and you just go to assault repulses. You go to river, and you can see that it's a repulse on a 1 or a 2. Or if it's a mud season, it's 1, 2, or 3. Presumably the river got wider because of the mud thaw or rainy season, which makes a lot of sense. So wider rivers, harder to establish a river crossing. And so, the Soviets successfully repulsed both of these units. And I think the corps came from that way. The infantry came from this way. So that was a failed attack, unfortunately. But at least Army Group A was able to establish a defensive line across this riverbank. But as far as progress towards Odessa, we're not really seeing much. But now for the main attack from Army Group South. We're attacking east of Tornopol against the 5th Soviet Army. airstrike goes first. It scores 1 hit. Soviets have only 1 defensive hit against 2 Panzer Corps. Yeah, they didn't stand much of a chance. They're clean swept aside by the advancing German Panzer columns. And now we have this 4th Soviet Mech Corps against German airstrike and the 3rd German Mech Corps, or Panzer Corps, and the 29th Infantry Corps. See what the airstrike does. It scores 1 hit. So it's roll 2. They score a hit. It's going to actually attack the Panzer Corps. Now the Panzer Corps gets to roll. They score a hit. And the infantry score a hit. Wow. And amazingly, they broke through. Wow, nicely done. I did not think the Germans were going to break through there, but they did. Okay. Now the situation is changing for the Soviets. I think things went from bad to worse. A few more battles, though. We got the Battle of Minsk here. Unsupported. So because it's unsupported, also we got to keep in mind that it's an urban center. It's Minsk. It's this black dot. You can look at the terrain effects. And if it's a major city, the defenders have double defense. And they also have double defense and they have double fire. Excuse me. Double defense, double fire. Meaning that they get to score, they get double defense, twice the amount of firepower absorbed from the enemy attacks, and the double fire means that they get to score on a 5 or a 6. So yes, there is a way to make infantry score on a 5 or a 6, and you usually got to put them in an urban center, and then they get the defensive bonus. And then not only that, but since it's unsupported combat, the defenders are actually going to have triple defense. So we have to score 3 6s in order to actually score a hit against the Soviet 13th Army. The Soviet defenders score no hits, but our attackers, they score no hits either. And that's that. Just a stalemate in Minsk. But we're now attacking Polotsk. We had a Soviet Mech Corps there. Yep, just 1 Mech Corps against now 12 German divisions. They score no hits. The German Panzer Corps roll. Boom, they get double fire. Or rather, they get double fire. They're able to overcome the double defense, and they take Polotsk. Good. The Germans are just cleaning up the front line, smoothing out the front line right now, basically. And not only that, but we've got the big encirclement out here in basically central Poland. And so there's that. That sums up that turn. Now we're on the blitz phase. And now these units that are within 2 hexes of range are able to move. The good news is that the Germans can now actually encircle Kyiv through this one gaping hole the Soviets have in their front. And in hindsight, we probably should have moved this cavalry corps over here. We did not. I'm just going to go ahead and play the game as I would play against any opponent. And we're going to completely exploit this giant hole in the Soviet lines. And I think we may even attack with our infantry as well. We're going to send a mountain unit into Kyiv. And we just want to make sure that this corridor remains, that this rail line that's going through Korostan remains unaffected by Soviet operations. Because if we can do that, we can ensure that this Panzer Corps stays in supplies, and that's what we want. So yeah, maybe we should actually swing north. I think that's actually what we want to do, swing north and try to expose the Soviet situation here, and it will help Army Group North in their operations against the Western Front. So yeah, I mean, this is the challenge the Germans have, is that they can't encircle all the Soviet armies. They're just simply, the front is simply too large. We're going to move the 17th Army up. These units are still in range, command range. I guess we'll attack with the 35th Corps. I don't want to attack with understrength units. I'd rather not, but looks like it's my best option. But yeah, we've got some nice mech units right now, which are super nice to see. They're going to be hard for the Germans to, or the Soviets to withdraw from. Definitely. Could move another corps this way. Can move another corps here. And yeah, just keep this corridor in good shape. I don't know if I want to attack. I think I'm going to attack with another infantry towards Kiev, and then I'll put this mech corps up there. And then this Army Group South, I'm actually going to mobilize. Since it's out of command range of these battles, I'm going to have it just move up to Korostin. And so all these battles are going to be unsupported. But that's fine. And then I forgot to do this battle over here. The Soviets are going to have double fire. Score no hits. Infantry roll, no hits. That's fine. At least we pin it down. It's going to be out of supplies for sure. And then we don't want to do any other rounds of battles up here. We just don't have enough firepower. But we still got 3 more rounds of battles over here. And we've essentially almost cut off the Soviet withdrawal from Kyiv. But they're not going to be able to hold Kyiv any longer. So there's a gaping hole in the front for all we care. And then that's it. That's going to be it for the turn. And then Army Group North will be able to make its advance. And we are going to try to make some progress towards Leningrad. And then I think our strategy for the Germans for now is to actually avoid the center. We're going to really try to focus on the Ukraine. I really want to secure... I want to be able to secure Stalino. I really want to secure the entire Ukraine area as soon as possible. So hopefully this victory is the victory we need to then break through. I can wait on Odessa. Really my main goal though is take Kyiv and then push towards Kharkov and Dnipropetrovsk and secure this basin as quickly as possible. I want to have it secured by the end of August, if at all possible. Right now we're in July. And I think we've already reached our logistical limits. So I doubt we'll be able to, but we'll see. We'll see. I want to get there by the end of August. Definitely by the end of September. And likewise, I want to be able to actually take Leningrad by the end of September if I can. And then once we have those 2 areas secured, we then focus a final drive on Moscow. That's the strategic idea that we have right now. So we have a few more battles now we can do. Here's a battle of Zlobin. Soviets score no hits, neither will the Germans. They have double defense. Battle for Kyiv, only 1 Soviet unit there, pretty weak. Germans though score no hits. Then we got the Battle of Zhytomyr as well. Here is a Soviet HQ versus the lots of German Panzer Corps and the 37th Soviet Army. The Soviet Army scores no hits. Panzer Corps are going to roll. We scored a lot of 5s, but unfortunately only 3 count from the Panzer Corps. The last one is from the German Panzer Army. Doesn't count. Or rather infantry army. So we scored 1 hit because the Soviets had double defense. And then we got the Battle of Vinitsa next. Again, a lot of Panzer Corps still attacking. Mech Corps. Soviet cavalry, or Soviet 12th Army rather. They score 1 hit. And they're going to hit a German division there, Panzer division. And then we're going to now retaliate. It looks like we score 3 hits altogether. Again, double defense only counts as 1 hit. So those were some pretty good German dice rolls. We just needed 1 more hit and we would have really done some serious damage. So the Soviet lines still hold. But, the Germans clearly have gained some notable ground in this operation. So yeah, good progress. We can check the supply status now. we finished the blitz phase. These Soviet units are definitely out of supplies. I guess we're going to have to switch to the Soviet side to really find out. But that's it. We're not going to do anything in North Africa. We're staying put. Just holding a defensive line there. So we're going to switch over now to the Soviets and the Allies and see what they do. First of all, this Soviet unit is going to be out of supplies. Yeah, the Soviet unit is out of supplies. Where is that? There it is. Out of supplies, so it's going to be reduced by 1. Likewise, these Soviet units, this one is also out of supplies. So is this one. They're completely surrounded. All this other territory around them is German-controlled territory, right? And since right now they're in contested hexes, yes, the areas that they currently control are still theirs, but that's it. You know, and then this entire, you can think of it as a Soviet bulge, kind of in the shape of a Y, that right now is just basically completely encircled, completely surrounded by all this German-controlled territory. And so it really is like an encirclement, right? And that's kind of how it looked like. And then this whole area would be a sea of blue, right? But hopefully you get the idea. And I don't have to put the markers there. But so yeah, this unit's going to actually return to the dead pile since it was already a cadre. This unit's going to be reduced by 1. This unit's going to also be eliminated. And this unit is reduced to 1 as well. So the pocket is shrinking. Now it's only, instead of 4 hexes, there's only 2 hexes now. This unit also is also out of supplies because you know, now the Gulf of Riga and now the Eastern Baltic Sea are both Axis controlled, so there's no way that the supplies can go through. Actually, that's not true. We can actually roll to find out, to see if the supplies will go through or not. So it's actually not a guarantee. So we actually can look at that. We can look at that, and it's somewhere here. You look at the supply interdiction. And if it's a sea supply, which is going to come through a regular seaport, and it's naval parity, that's what the NP stands for. The repulse is on a 1, 2, or 3. So our chances of supply interdiction is actually a lot higher than it would be if it was a beachhead supply, which is kind of interesting. So we'll see. 3 dice rolls, and it looks like we did score 2 hits, and so that's enough. We only needed 1, and so we have no supplies. No supplies is coming from that railhead. So yeah, this unit is going to be eliminated as well. And so there you have it. The Soviet pockets are now being liquidated. Soviet dead pile is increasing. Even though the Soviets didn't really lose too many units this turn in battle, they are losing a lot to the supplies. So that's a problem for the Soviet army. They're going to have to build up a lot more units for sure. And maybe that was the problem that we did on this last turn. We just didn't build up enough units. It's a very real possibility. So now we're going to have to fix the situation in the south. There's a gaping hole in the Soviet front line. We got to figure out what to do. So I think the best move for the Soviets is to activate Stavka and see if we can actually just get our armies to march out of there if we can. Starting with the Ukrainian HQ, this is our most important unit. And then I'm going to save the Western HQ, not actually activate it yet. But we'll see what we can do with Stavka. So for example, this sixth Corps mech group can use it to attack this advancing German unit, pin it down. Likewise, I can probably get the 21st Army to attack here. It's kind of an odd move. Maybe I do activate the Western HQ, actually, come to think of it, because these are attack moves. I can move up to the 24th. I can even decide to pull my units out of Minsk, and I think I'm going to at this point. I just don't think... I think we would have better defensive lines if we abandon Minsk. So like this group here can... I can put him there. Get the 13th Army to maybe fall back here. I think it's pretty good. I can also pull back this cavalry corps. Have it fall back to Gamo, like that. And so we're kind of just trying to... I can even move up this unit there. So, yeah, that seems pretty good to me. I'm trying to just establish a strong defensive line. In fact, I may even abandon Vinica. Or Vitebsk, rather. Have this unit fall back to the terrain east of that. I think a smarter move would actually just be to leave a rearguard unit behind. But I guess I won't do that. I might change that move later on. But anyways, the Stavka, the other moves for Stavka is to move up my rearguard and just get them to move up. I really want to make sure I have a strong rearguard in position. I know there's a 40th Corps that was somewhere in this game. Oh, I moved it up there. So anyways, those are two strategic moves. Here's a third one. Probably just reinforce Vitebsk. I think that's probably what I want to do. So that's 1, 2, 3. And of course, we have the situation here in the south. I can go 4, maybe like 5, 6, something like that. Of course, that means that I can't really move any more units. I mean, all these Soviet units here. I mean, I'll be frank. If I try to have them retreat, I think they're gonna get completely devastated. So I don't think it's in my best interest to actually get those units to retreat. So I may just activate this Ukrainian HQ. Try to get as many Soviet units as I can to fall back to some sort of new defensive line. But I kind of want to pull these guys back out as well. So maybe I cancel some of these moves here. Like this one. This one. So I did 1. And then I did 3 in the north. So I got 2 more. And I don't know, like maybe move this mech unit back, move this 9th Army, try to get it to Ukrainka. And again, the idea is just try to establish a second defensive line if I can. Because we definitely could use it. We definitely could use it. And I mean, no matter how I paint this picture, I mean, the situation looks really bad for the Soviets. It really does. But like this unit here, I could send there. This guy here, yep, we're moving up. But I still have 1 gaping hole here, right, that I want to fix. So maybe I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. And then I don't know where to put this HQ. I think this HQ seems to be a little too vulnerable. Maybe not. We'll just leave it in Krylovgrad. Have it act as another defensive line. Yeah, but the idea is that we're trying to just make sure that our defensive lines can hold against whatever the Germans throw at us. I think this reserve HQ we're going to move to Smolensk. I'll put them right there. And then I guess I'll move this HQ to Smolensk. 28th Army will be there. We're even leaving Bryansk wide open, which is kind of a gamble. Very strange one, but it's one I'm willing to take. Maybe I get this unit. No, I want that unit to be there. I think I need this unit. I want that unit there as well. It's a tough setup for the Soviets, but I just think we could probably use one more unit to the south. But maybe not. Maybe if I leave this corridor open, that's good enough for us. Yeah, that'd be pretty embarrassing, wouldn't it? If the Germans did pull off some just super wild maneuver. So I guess I'm gonna have to put this unit over here. As much as I want to leave that corridor to the north open, it's probably safer if I leave it this way. And then the last thing I can do is maybe activate this Baltic HQ. And then what I'm gonna do is actually just pull my units back. There's no reason for them to be in this very vulnerable terrain. So I'm actually going to have them fall back to more favorable defensive lines. So for example, this guy, he can go there. This unit, I'm actually going to make a move to edge there. And then this infantry I can move to Novgorod. Move a tank army there. I think that's the most reasonable defensive line I can set up. I really hope that's the best one. But it seems pretty good to me. I think this 50th Army area seems a little weak to me, in my opinion, but I think we may be able to fix that problem. But yeah, that should do. So a lot of moves by the Soviet High Command, but I think these are what I hope to be the smart moves. And then we got one area where we do have a battle, right over here. Two areas actually. Oh, I could have supported this battle if I left this HQ there. I guess we will. Yeah, and the idea is that I should be able to be in command range of both HQs, or both battle hex sites. Command range and air support, both. And as far as trying to fix the situation to the south, the only thing I've been able to come up with is basically just multiple Soviet defensive lines. Hopefully it can slow down the German advance, but our armies are not very strong. I mean, the Germans can pretty much break through any line that we have. So we got this very key battle here, battle for Nazin. We need the Soviets to successfully attack, at least not have this unit get loose. Started the airstrike, it scores one hit. And then they score one hit against our mech corps. But our mech corps doesn't successfully destroy the Germans, but we do survive the attack. and that's really what counts. So we were pitting down that one German mech core, which is really important. Now we got this other battle here against the 29th Infantry Corps. It has double defense because of the forest terrain. Single fire airstrike still scores 1 hit. Nice. Defenders score no hits. Soviet infantry score no hits, but they scored 1 hit with the airstrikes. Nice. Single fire airstrike for the win. And so those are the Soviet attacks. Not bad. Nothing notable, notably grand strategic gains, but we did improve our defensive lines. Now, a few things to point out. We did withdraw from Zlobin, but again, the pursuer was too slow, so we don't actually have any pursuit fire. But we do have some pursuit fire coming from Minsk, but it's going to be a double against our double defense because of the terrain. So those units are same speed. We can pull up that little table that was around here. Pursuit fire of equal speed. It's single fire. They score no hits, so we didn't have to worry about that. And that's it. No other major battles. We've actually abandoned Vitebsk, which I know historically probably would have never happened because of the insistence for the Soviets to hold on to every bit of territory. But we're trying to play the game a bit smarter. And the idea is that the Soviets will give up a bit of territory if it means having their army be in a much better, strategically favorable defensive position. And right now they have some very good defensive positions. We've been able to fortify, the Dnieper River with 2 units. We even have 3 units right here at Orsha. So it's going to be hard for the Germans to attack this sector for any future attacks. They're definitely giving the Soviets time to dig in. But the main German attacks have been here in the south, which did achieve some notable success. And then we'll see what Army Group North does on the next fortnight. And so now we're going to switch back to the Germans. We're not going to do anything with the British, I don't think. No, they didn't gain any production. So we're going to switch back to the Axis. And now continue the second fortnight. And then this is the last fortnight before we wrap up the turn. So we're already halfway through the turn. OKH is exhausted, or it's reduced to a level 2. A lot of German units are starting to fall behind. Right, entire German armies. This 5 German corps is the equivalent of a German army, and it is very far away from the front line. But the Soviets have fallen back a bit. These are going to be German-controlled areas, so we can hide those units. And really, most of the German HQs here in the south are just completely under strength. They're just too weak to be activated. I mean, we can, but then they're going to be even weaker on the next month, and we don't want that. Now, we did take Minsk, and we actually do have supply path going from Minsk to Berlin. So we've taken Minsk from the Soviet Union. So Germans are going to gain 1 production point. Soviets are going to lose 1 production point. So not a very significant change there. We also took Riga, same thing as well. Germans gain 1, Soviets lose 1. But other than that, I mean, production hasn't changed all that much. We have Army Group North now. And it looks like the Soviets have fallen back even further. So the Germans are in a really good opportunity to push up and try to gain some territory as they approach, as they make an approach for Leningrad. In fact, we could even do a blitz with Army Group North right now. We can do a blitz with Army Group North right now and have this unit advance to Molodechno. We could do a blitz, 2 waves attack, try to dislodge the Soviet defense at Orsha. It's going to be a heavy battle, but I think we could at least wipe out this Soviet group there. And then we may be able to break through on the first turn, doubtful, but we can at least break through on the next turn. And then we could also have all these German units, because of the blitz, I know that they would be able to, we could put pressure on Veliki Luki and Vitebsk and all this, and then have the rest of our formation expand further north, try to make its way towards Leningrad. So it's a lot of moving parts, but we have a long march to get to Leningrad, and we have a lot of Soviet units between us and the city of Leningrad, or let alone just this terrain between, say, Leningrad and Smolensk. I mean, there's a large swath of Soviet territory that really has no strategic importance other than it being the flanks of both Smolensk and Leningrad. But if I had it our way, I would not want to set our German units that way at all. So maybe we don't. Maybe we don't actually go for these cities, but we're going to have to deal with some sort of Soviet attack from these areas eventually. So that's why I'm thinking we should attack now, put some pressure on these Soviet units, and then establish some sort of defensive line using the terrain there to our advantage. So that is an option for the Germans. The Germans have a lot of corps available for these operations, a lot of full-strength corps, but I don't think we're going to have much else for the remainder of the season. That's the key takeaway right now, is that yes, we have some available units right now, but after this, I don't think the Germans are going to have anything as part of a reserve available for either an attack on Moscow or an attack on Leningrad. They're gonna have to make do with whatever they have, and they're gonna maybe have to prioritize one attack. Plus, they don't have enough HQs, I don't think. So, and then of course the downside of blitzing with Army Group North right now is that we can't blitz it on the next turn. I mean, I think in theory we could, but it's gonna affect the campaign even later on. So I don't know. It's hard to say if we really want to blitz or not. I think we should. And then the goal right now should be to simply try to destroy as many Soviet armies as we can, and make that the priority. You know, if at the very least make that our priority. I do still want to take Leningrad right now, but you know, we got a nice big Soviet army here that we're gonna have to deal with, and this is the best time to destroy them. If we wait any longer, they're only gonna get stronger. And then I don't know, the situation in the south, we're logistically exhausted in the south, so I don't expect too much progress to be made in the south for some time. And at least attacking here in the center is gonna keep the Soviet high command busy and may stop them from launching any counterattacks over here, which we don't want. So I don't know, it seems reasonable to me to activate Army Group North rather. And we're going to make this a Blitz HQ. We're going to blitz right here on Orsha. And this is going to be the main battle of the whole month, or of this fortnight. Now, I could also try to make a river assault. And I probably should still try to do that. But as I'm starting to see, I just don't think the Germans have enough troops to actually pull it off. So, you know, this is a good time to attack. If there's any time to attack, now is the time. So I think for that reason, and for that reason alone, we are going to try to attack. So I'm going to attack even with a Panzer Corps, but 2 infantry corps are going to be the main units advancing. And then I'm going to just pretty much stack up all my Panzer Corps right here. Might as well. We'll send a weaker Panzer Corps that way. So, pretty strong German attack. And then I still have a lot of Panzer Corps in reserve. But I'm going to send forth... I got 3 Panzer Corps actually in reserve, which is really impressive. But I'm just going to make sure that I have enough German infantry troops moving up to the north, because those are probably the most valuable ones. Really, they're actually more valuable than the Panzer Corps sometimes. Sometimes that's what it seems like. I'm actually going to move up this unit. I'm going to move up to far north there, pin down that unit over there. And then unfortunately, I'm going to have to move up 1 more infantry that way as well, which seems reasonable to me. So yeah, we're going to move up an infantry army to the north, Then I can also move up. I could move up a Panzer Corps. I could move up 2 Panzer Corps to the north. Actually, wouldn't be a problem. Actually, I could even make an attack on Novgorod, which is probably what I really want to see. I want to make an attack north as far northerly as I can. That would be it, pretty sure. And then the 3rd Panzer Corps would be supporting the flank. Yeah, so I'm gonna send 3 Panzer Corps to the far north. I've decided. And then I have 2 infantry corps in reserve right now. And that's it. That's all I got for Army Group North. Or Army Group Center, rather. Technically, it's actually Army Group North. It's a bit of both. It really is a bit of both. But I do want to prioritize on Leningrad. I want to cut off Leningrad as soon as possible. And I also think I want to take the city. Somehow I really do think that if we can take the city, it's going to help us a lot. It's going to be a lot more favorable than just pinning the city down. It's one thing to pin the city down, but what we really want to do is actually physically take the city. I think that's going to be a big advantage. But unfortunately, we're going to have no more in the wake of reserves. The only reserve we have is going to be this reserve over here. And we're going to transfer that reserve to Army Group Center eventually. And that should be enough. I think we have 4 Panzer Corps attacking Army Group for Army Group North, or Army Group Center rather. So we're looking pretty good as far as bringing up reinforcements. So I'm not too worried about that. But anyways, let's do the main battle. And hopefully our single mech corps or infantry corps that's attacking there by itself is enough. Probably kind of silly to think that it will be enough. It probably should use some reinforcements to attack Veliki Luki. I don't know why it's attacking it all by itself. I probably should set up some sort of infantry unit in support, really. The problem I'm seeing is that there really wasn't any infantry that were in range. And I don't want to send the mech corps there. I would rather have it sent to the north. And be near Leningrad. But I may have no choice but to send a unit that way anyways, because it looks like we're kind of short on units, frankly. So that's a bit of an issue. So we'll see. We'll see how it pans out. I guess I'll move up these infantry. Oh no, this guy was already as far. It's advanced as far as it could. Maybe we'll do that. Yeah. So there we go. We'll see how the battle pans out. We'll do this battle here at Veliki Luki. We're not really prioritizing this small town. So we're sending a weak force to advance. It takes 2 hits. So that's not very good. It's not going to be able to defend against any Soviet counterattacks now. So it's going to need reinforcements either way. But then we'll do the main battle at Orsha against whatever the Soviets have defending here. They have a lot of mech units and an infantry army there. Our airstrike rolls, they score 2 hits. They're going to be placed on the infantry. The mech now rolls with double fire. And they only scored 1 hit with the mech, 1 hit with the infantry, so that's 2 hits on the Germans. We do lose a Panzer division. But now the Panzer division roll, they get to roll a total of 10 dice, followed by an infantry. Ooh, man, they scored no hits, all but 1. But the infantry scored 2 hits, so they scored 3 hits on the Soviets altogether. So pretty good hits for the Germans, I gotta say. Pretty good hits. The Soviets only have 4 combat points left, and they originally had, I think they had 9? So the Soviets lost over half of their combat strength just now. Meanwhile, the Germans only lost 2 hits. So that was a good exchange for the Germans. Very good exchange. And then we're also doing the battle here north of Gomel, in Mogilev, a river assault. We'll see if the Germans succeed here. They got no air support, but they do have combat support. Soviets have 7 dice. And they score no repulses. Interesting. But they did score 1 hit. My goodness. So the Soviet repulses completely failed. But they scored 1 hit. And now the Germans roll with a Panzer Corps, followed by the infantry. They score 2 hits. So that is actually not good for the Soviets. So very interesting move right now. Very interesting set of moves. So now we're going to do the blitz. And so now we actually have to move this 52nd Corps to Zlobin, otherwise our flank would be unprotected. We move the 6th Corps forward to Borisov. I can move in this 20th Corps like so. And then I'm actually going to move the 43rd into Velike Luki, and then I'm going to pull out the 13th, have it move to Vinica. That way we have a full strength infantry corps attacking Orsha. Yes, we have weaker infantry on the flanks, but chances of the Soviets successfully pulling off a river crossing is slim, although not impossible. But they're going to have to deal with 3 infantry divisions on each flank. And then the next move is to now just advance our Panzer Corps to the north. And I'm going to move the 41st and the 57th Corps. They're going to go straight for Novgorod. They're going to go straight for attack the city outside of Leningrad, or town outside of Leningrad. We're going to move the 24th Panzer Corps to Luga. And then we have 2 full-strength infantry. 1 infantry corps, the 9th, and the other, the 26th, protecting the flanks of the Germans there. So the Soviets, if they want to flank this attack on Leningrad, they're going to have to cross the Lovar River, and they're going to have to deal with the German defenses there accordingly. I'm going to move this first army. I'm going to have it move further to the north, and it's going to protect against any Soviet attempts to sneak across. Maybe this is a cavalry, and make a move towards Riga. And then I have this 38th Infantry Corps left over. And I don't know if I want to move it to support Army Group North, which wouldn't be a bad idea. Or do I want to support Army Group Center? And I think right now I'm going to move it up to Army Group North. That was the original plan. And the idea is that we have a reserve infantry corps available so that if we are starting to attack the city of Leningrad, we have more manpower, right? But we're also going to get Finland in the war too on the next turn, and try to see if they can support. And then I can also deploy this HQ and move this HQ, Army Group Center HQ, all the way up as well. If I do that, of course, I'm basically negating, I'm really negating any additional moves to or any additional breakthrough operations that I want to do here in the center, right? So I think I want to leave Army Group Center HQ near the sector, especially given that we're about to break through. I kind of want to leave it near the front if I can. And maybe I'll leave it here in Vitebsk so that it can actually be in command range of Novgorod if I need it to be. And then we're actually going to leave the Army Group North HQ where it's at, and we're going to do an airstrike and have it actually participate and do some air support just so that we can clean sweep the Soviets, hopefully. And then air support is just what we need, that extra little bit of firepower. And now, of course, I could have done some extra battles here. I probably should. So before I do the second round of battles, let me actually do first round of battle over here with the 37th Army at Zhytomyr. And I'm going to attack since this infantry corps is at full strength. Of course, it takes a hit. And now we have the Panzer Corps that can roll. They do score hits. That's good. And then, I don't know if I want to keep attacking because, of course, any hits that we sustain, it's going to be hard to replace them later on in the campaign. But if I can somehow clear this defensive line during this turn, it's going to help a lot. So we're going to keep attacking. 12th Army, oof, scores 2 hits. That's exactly what I wanted to avoid. And then the mech, though, are still full strength, followed by the armor's at full strength, followed by the mech. Okay, so we at least scored 1 hit. Okay, so it's a very weird exchange right now, but I'm glad we did those attacks. We can also even try to attack Kiev, because there's only 1 defending division. Of course, we didn't score a hit there. But if we score... No hits. Okay. Alright, so that's an interesting move. I say we continue the attacks. So we're going to do a few more battles here. Unsupported, of course. But we're going to do them anyways. Starting with the 12th Army. It doesn't score hits. Boom, we do score 2 hits though. And we actually eliminated the 12th Army. So that's good. Didn't need combat support. So how we do against the 37th Army. It doesn't score hits. 2 Panzer Corps can roll. And unfortunately, we did not score the other hit that we needed. And then I guess we'll pass the attack on Kiev for now. Although maybe we can try an attack on Kiev. Maybe if we succeed, it's a weird gamble. The odds are not in our favor. I think we're gonna pass. So yeah, interesting moves there. Now we can do the next round of combat. I'm actually going to hold off any further attacks. I don't think we're going to push forward. We're just going to hold off this attack because I just want to make sure we're attacking with full strength infantry so that we didn't suffer the mistake that we did at Zitomir where our infantry are reduced, our units are reduced even further. So I want to make sure I'm attacking with at least 1 full strength unit. But we will go all in on Orsha. Send airstrike there. It's going to score 1 hit. The defenders, we have a couple mech units there plus infantry. The mech are going to roll. They score no hits. The infantry scores no hits. We do have combat support. We're attacking with the Panzer Corps first. They get 10 hits. And they just clean sweep the Soviets there. So yeah, big victory there for the Germans at Orsha. And then we're not going to do another battle of Veliki Luki, but we have now 5 divisions defending Veliki Luki. It's going to be good enough to hold the Soviets off there. And then, yeah, Army Group North can finally be deactivated. And so what a turn. But we've already made substantial progress to the north. We got one more battle up here in Novgorod. It has no combat support. 27th Army scores no hits against the advancing Panzer Corps. They score no hits either. They only scored 1, but the defenders there had triple fire defense because we have the defense of Novgorod being forced plus unsupported combat from double fire to triple fire. But yeah, that's going to sum up the German turn. The Germans are making some progress here in the Ukraine. But further north, you can see that the Germans have broken through at Orsha. So the Soviets are going to once again have to reorganize their strategic defense in such a way to plug a hole in their gap. Otherwise, the Germans are going to exploit it. And so, yeah, the Germans are attacking pretty aggressively right now. We'll switch to the Soviet side, or the Allied side, rather. And you can see now the Soviet HQs are just a little weaker than they were before. So it's one thing to have level 3 HQs. It's another thing when you only have level 2 HQs. And I think we even have a level 0 HQ up here in the north. So the Soviet situation is such that the Soviet defense of Leningrad is basically about to fall. The Soviets are ready to defend the city at all costs, but they can't protect the city from getting encircled. They can't stop that right now at this point. Maybe they can, but this 27th Army probably won't be enough to stop a full Panzer Corps. But at least the central sector is sort of held out. But further south, the Germans have taken Orsha, and now Smolensk is very vulnerable. So I'm going to activate the Western HQ a second time. And I don't think we're going to be able to do any real counteroffensive here in near Kiev. So unfortunately, the Soviet defensive lines are just going to have to further wither away. But I think at the very least, the Germans, or rather the Soviets, have been able to save some of these units here, and that's the good news. But I don't think they're going to be able to protect Kiev, fortunately. So the main goal right now is just to have these Soviet units fall back to still the same objective, which is to fall back to the Dnieper River, right, which they have yet to really do. So I think I'm gonna deploy this HQ, the southern HQ here. Actually, no. I'm going to deploy it here. Try to get all these units, as many as we can. They'll keep marching. Just get them to fall back across the river. So, truth is, we actually aren't doing a very good job of saving these units. Not doing the best job, but at least we're able to save a few of them. That's what I'm hoping for. Hopefully we can save the southern HQ. It should be out of range of the Germans. Should be. But it's hard to say. The Germans tend to make some pretty aggressive moves. I think I'll move this 18th Army to the north. Like that, like so. So this is an okay move. I think I actually want this guy to move up into there. Pin that guy there. And then this mech units. I guess I want to move it here. Yeah, and that's gonna probably our best setup. Unfortunately, it's really not all that great. And of course, this mech unit or this infantry unit is extremely vulnerable. I kind of want to send it up here. But of course, we clearly know where the Germans are going to attack next. They're going to concentrate all their efforts to trying to secure this pocket. But at the very least, I think we've been able to plug in the gap at least a little longer. So that's the idea there. And this 9th Army, yeah, I'm going to have it fall back. Maybe I can put another unit here in Krylovgrad. That could, in theory, slow down the German advance. Maybe that's what I should do. And try to set up a new defensive line. I'm not sure if it really makes much of a difference, frankly. But I know that I can put up a new unit in Kremenchug. So I'm actually going to have this guy move up north like that. Again, the idea is that I can just stack up as many units as I can to the north. Just try to box in, stop the Germans from launching any real aggressive moves against our Soviet formations there. That's the main idea. Deny them any crazy encirclements. I want to make sure my HQs kind of are just, I have a defense in depth basically. But we're basically abandoning all the river defensive lines at this point. There's no real need for that. And so that's going to be the Soviet moves. Here in the north, I'm going to have to plug in the gap. I think that's what I got to do. I can actually deploy this HQ here because it is going to be in command range. And the idea is that we can just pull back some of these units. It's time to fall back to the best of our ability. So I think what I'm going to do is make sure that my second defensive line is really strong, but my primary defensive line is actually going to be pretty weak. So I can put some cadre units in Mogilev and Gomel, basically militia troops to slow them down. I don't expect them to stop the Germans, but at least it will slow them down. It will stop the blitz, more or less. And then that way, my other units, these main formation units, can fall back and really be the core of our defense, because we really need just a strong, basically fortress-like defense of the sector. I can't have the Germans making any more ground, gaining any more ground. I'm going to move this Western HQ, I think. I'm not sure where is the best place to put it. I think I'm going to send it to Vyazma. Or maybe I want to send it to the north here. Something like that. Because, yeah, we just don't have enough HQs. This central sector is the most vulnerable by far. And I'm not going to activate the Stavka HQ just yet. I'm going to wait. Because I don't want to, maybe I should, because then I can pull back this cavalry unit. Have it fall back to Leningrad, that's going to be helpful. At this point, there's no point for it to stay back there in Tallinn. And no, and I don't think there's any real point holding this line. I would rather pull back that cavalry. And then I don't know with the Stavka, I could probably bring up a few more reinforcements to the front line, which probably wouldn't be a bad move, I don't think. So yeah, maybe we do. I'll pull back this cavalry unit. Actually, I can move it via sea. Which I can put it to Leningrad. That seems a better bet there. So it's one move. Another move is I can move up this tank army, or tank corps. I can move it further up. That's one. That's two, rather. I can move up two more. I think the best two is to move up these reserve armies and pretty much have them fill in this gaping flank that we have. I don't want that flank to be so open. And then hopefully, we don't have many troops in the south, but the idea I have is that we can at least establish a full defensive line somehow. That's the fundamental idea. And that seems pretty good. I think this is some pretty good moves overall. We got a nice strong defense of Smolensk now. The next major area. And I don't intend to lose Smolensk, but you never know. And yeah, it's gonna sum up the moves for Stavka. So yeah, our HQs are definitely getting weaker. I don't think this is where we want to leave the Western HQ. I don't think it's a good spot. I'm just afraid that if the 20th Army gets destroyed, we're gonna lose the entire pocket of Veliki Luki. That won't be good. That won't be good at all. So probably the better option would be to instead leave the 22nd Army there, and the 20th Army cover that flank. It's still a very vulnerable position either way. So it's no matter how you look at it, our situation is extremely vulnerable for the Soviets. Very vulnerable situation for the Soviets. Very much. So we definitely have to set up a second defensive line here at Moscow itself, for sure. And then as far as this HQ, the thing was started there, activated it here. I think I'm going to send it. There's not really any safe place for me to put it. And I want to make sure I put it somewhere safe. As safe as I can. I don't want the Germans pulling off any crazy breakthrough, and they certainly can. That's the crazy part. They most certainly can, and that's the part I got to be careful with. So that's why I'm trying to make sure my defenses are as tough as they can be. I think the best place to put it is probably going to be here. So we'll see. We'll see if that's good enough. I don't like the setup, but we're gonna have to make do. So that's gonna conclude the Soviet moves for this turn. I just realized we probably should pull back the 21st Army as well. Yeah. Because the way I have it now, it's just 21st Army is too valuable of an army to just be sitting there. But yeah, maybe I have the 31st move up there. And the 21st can probably move up here. It's a slightly better position. And then this guy could have moved by rail there. 5th Cavalry, maybe we'll leave right here. Oh, I guess we'll do that. Something like that seems pretty reasonable. I'm going to have to build up some cadre in Bryansk though. Which basically leaves Bryansk to fall pretty inevitably. Well, I guess I gotta move the 38th via rail to Bryansk. Oh, I'm gonna leave the HQ in Bryansk. Alright, so yeah, that's it. One more withdrawal. No hits there. 21st is just too valuable of a unit to just be hanging back there. The only problem I think I have here is that this 22nd Army, I'm going to have to switch it up like that. For sure. And so we'll see how well our defenses can do against the German river crossings. I mean, they really don't have to do a river crossing. They can just kind of blitz their way in. Kind of want to remind myself of that. So we're going to do that instead. Yeah. Still want to have a second defensive line though, if we can. Alright, so that's that. That's going to be our setup. I think we're finally done with the Soviets. The British, you know, I think we're still going to try to go for Norway. We have this level 2 HQ, but I think we're going to just save our money up. Let's just try to build up some ground units, probably. We can definitely build up our mech. Oh, we also want to build up our naval landing. Yeah, we want to have an amphibious invasion ability for sure. So it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for the British to have enough production to actually have a force large enough to go toe-to-toe with the Germans. So we'll see. We'll see how long it takes for the British to make a move. So we'll just leave that for now. But that's going to sum up the turn. Now we're in the month of August. And yeah, we're going to sum up the turn there. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to stop the video here. But thanks for tuning in and stay tuned for more operations, as now the Soviets have fallen back a bit. We're going to do Soviet production, and then we're going to follow on with the German advance into the Soviet Union. The Germans have made a lot of breakthrough and success, but the Germans still have ways to go before they really can cripple the Soviet Union. They've crippled the Soviet Army, but they have yet to cripple the Soviet Union. So we'll stop here. Thanks for tuning in. Peace out.